Hi, everybody. My name's Kirsty, and I am one of the business partners and founders for the Book Dragon. And this week, we have the pleasure of touring a fabulous fantasy book called The Son of Asmodeus, written by author Barb Jones. And it is my absolute pleasure to be able to interview Barb today so that we can find out about her and her books and also her writing journey. Hi, Barb.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, you go by Barb as is Barb your full name, or do you prefer Barb as the short name for your author name? Are you comfortable with
Barb is the preferred name. My real name is Barbara.
Okay. All right. And Barb, can you just kind of tell everybody just a little bit about yourself in terms of where you're based, what type of writing you enjoy doing, and about some of the titles that you've released.
So I am a supernatural horror author, and I write usually along the lines of the supernatural creatures or demons and angels.
Mhm.
And I've been writing since I was 9. I love to tell stories. The scarier, the better. And so I have the Heaven and Hell series, which is The Son of Asmodeus, which is book 1. And then I also have the Blood Prophecy series, which is a whole saga, if you will, and it's actually morphed into 2 trilogies now.
Okay. We are going to move on to the Son of Asmodeus because that's obviously the book that we're featuring this week. But I have had the pleasure of reading some of your other books as well, particularly the Blood Prophecy series. Just to sort of give everybody else a bit of a flavour, could you give us a bit of an overview about the books in those series, kind of what they're about?
The Blood Prophecy series is about a prophecy that spans a millennia, and it talks about a queen that will rise to unite the supernatural races. And it really goes along the lines of good versus evil. And the first trilogy is the Queen's trilogy about her rise and the battle that has come, that prophecy has talked about. The second trilogy, which book 1 just came out with, Rise of the Hunter, it continues on where evil is back, evil does not die. And it's told from the villain's perspective, where he thinks he's the hero. So it's a nice little twist.
Yeah, I've still got to read that one. I'm looking forward to it, but I have read the other 3 books in the Blood Prophecy series, and I think there's one thing that I particularly like about your writing as well is that, and these books is they bring in more than one supernatural character, don't they? Because you've got more than sort of vampires going on in there. You've got witches, there's werewolves. We've got apparitions as well. You've got this whole kind of community going. How did you fall into doing this type of writing? Is it something that you really enjoyed as a genre and read a lot as a child, or is it just something that you've got a general interest in the supernatural sort of thing and just wanted to sort of bring that into your writing? How did it all start, Barbara, for you?
Born and raised in Hawaii, where legends are part of our culture. And the supernatural is a big part of that. And I just love telling the stories. So I grew up with it. And I was one of those kids that just absolutely loved horror. I'd be the kid sneaking out, trying to watch Poltergeist and all the other horror movies when the parents say no, right?
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. And I'm just looking at your background as well, because obviously when the interview goes live as well, people will get to see tell us a little bit just about your background as well. It's really fascinating and quite atmospheric as well.
So in addition to writing, I also work in IT. I'm also a public motivation speaker, and an advocate. So I work a lot with um, survivors of domestic violence or those that want to become survivors. So that whole healing process. So I speak out for them. I do a lot of public speaking at universities about writing, about advocacy, whole sorts of topics, right?
Mm.
I just engage with a lot of people. So I do a multitude of things besides writing, but writing is actually my passion. It's what got me through a lot of my dark times.
Mm-hmm. Have you always wanted to be a writer? I know you said that you have been writing since you were 9. Is that something that you've always sort of aspired to do, or was there something that particularly brought you into this is what I really want to do as kind of a career and what I want to dedicate my time to doing? Is that drive always
Always
been?
wanted, I've always wanted to be a writer. I think it was my fourth grade teacher that, said I was always telling stories as a kid. And she kind of put the paper and pen in my hand and, said, why don't you write these ideas down and let's see what happens. So that's when the actual writing took place. But as far as, writing, being an author, it's also telling stories. So I just constantly love to tell stories. Like I said earlier, the scarier, the better. But it's just something that I grew up with. And part of the Hawaiian culture is you tell legends orally. And that's been in history. And so it's just something I grew up with. And it's just something that I fell in love with and wanted to dedicate my life to.
Yeah. And just about your writing journey, obviously there'll be people that are watching and listening to this who will have shared very similar experiences about the writing journey, and also those that will be very new to writing. What has been the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout your writing career, and sort of the challenges that you've had to face, and how did you overcome them? So it's not an easy journey, is it? Especially when you're going through a self-published route as well. So
No, it's not an easy journey because life gets in the way. So one of the things I talk about on like speaking engagements when people want to become writers is writing doesn't always have to be on the computer sitting, locked down, heads down. You can also get an idea while you're in the supermarket. Just carry something with you, even if it's your phone or notebook, just write your thoughts down. As long as you're doing that every day, because life will get in the way. And sometimes, when life gets in the way, we get busy, we say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'm too tired, I'll do it tomorrow. But if you force yourself to sit there and really stick through it, things come from it. It's that motivation. So that was the biggest thing I learned, is not to put it aside. So, even if you want to record it, it's still writing, because you're still working on your work. You're still going through that journey instead of saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
yeah. And okay, so obviously you love the horror genre as well. Do you read a lot of books in the horror genre, or do you dip into sort of other kind of genres as well if you were relaxing in your downtime?
I read more of the action adventure thrillers. Like I'll read Steve Barry because his characters go like basically through history, and it's a connection between history and modern day, which is something my books also carry. So I will read Steve Barry. I will read like Lee and Andrew Child. I don't really read the horror and the genre, but I watch the movies.
Yeah.
I try to find anything that gives me a jump scare. Nothing's worked so far. But in terms of my actual reading, I will read more of the action thrillers.
Yeah. Do you find, I don't know, I watch quite a few horrors, and I always look for the type of films or books that produce a physical reaction, where you can feel your heart sort of pounding and everything like that. Do you find like, when you watch, because you watch a lot of horror films, that also helps with the writing as well, in terms of how they've built that effect up visually, and then how you translate that into your books?
I find it inspirational because to me, it's like with the music, I can kind of imagine, okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. So yeah, it does give me inspiration. So sometimes when you feel like, oh, I don't feel like writing, I'll just throw on a horror movie, and it's like, oh, boom, I got to write now.
Yeah. Do you have to set yourself up for you when you're writing horror? Do you have to sort of create a certain ambience or anything around you, or you have to write a certain day, or you have to be in a certain mood in terms of some of the content that that you're delivering in this kind of genre? Do you have a sort of like tricks of the trade tools, sort of a format you follow that really works for you?
I like my heavy rock music when I write. But I can write anywhere. So I've been known to write in the grocery store. I've been known to write on a date. It's just I can write anywhere. But if I'm sitting at home and just relaxing and writing, then I have to have my music. That's about
Yeah,
the only thing I need.
brilliant. I know there's quite a few people who like to write with the different music as well can help with different scenes that you're working
Yeah.
with. It's nice to sort of hear about our authors as well, connecting with all different types of arts as well, because to me writing is part of that. It's an art as well that we're sort of delivering. So it's always interesting to find out kind of what tools people use to help with that creativity as well. Moving on to the main book, the book tour then, First Son of Asmodeus. And just to give, obviously we don't want to give too much away, too many teasers, because we want readers to read the book itself. But talk us through just a little bit about what's happening and about the characters in particular. Is there one character that you like over another, or that's given you more fun and enjoyment from, or do you love them all equally?
Well, let's start with The Son of Asmodeus is about a demon hunter.
Mhm.
And he was given up at birth. So he didn't know his birthright, his destiny, but he knew he was always different. He had special abilities, powers, strength. And as he grows into a man and wanders the world, killing demons, because that's what he knew he had to do, is just, he knew he was a demon hunter. He knew he had these special connections. He could find them anywhere, until it came to a point where he discovered his birthright. He is actually, and he resents this in the beginning, he is the son of a demon. He is the son of Asmodeus, and Asmodeus is the demon prince of lust. And there was a pact between heaven and hell to keep the balance between the two. And in order to protect both sides, they needed a child who would grow into a man who would defend that. That is his destiny. So he learns that his true birthright comes from that pact. And I think one of the things that I liked about it is it's not a demon and a human that had the child. It's the demon and an archangel had this special demon hunter. I like the characters, but I would say probably the character I have the most fun with is the Soul Eater. And the Soul Eater and Sully, the demon hunter, merge and they become one. But I love that Soul Eater, because no matter how much in the beginning he tries, it's like, let me feed on these souls. And it's just, no, you cannot do this. So it's kind of like the moral dilemma. So it's really a book about, again, good versus evil.
Yeah.
And temptations.
And where did the idea come from? I know you've got obviously the supernatural background, but you've blended sort of the archangel with the demon element as well. And then obviously there's always that pull, isn't there, where you've got humans sort of stuck in the middle of the war that goes on between sort of heaven and hell. Was there something that particularly sparked that idea to come together for you? And kind of how do you see
Oh,
it
go ahead.
going?
I'm sorry.
I was just looking obviously from our books.
Well, I see, there's a lot of books out there. You always have a demon hunter. They're killing demons. They're hunting things, but it's never been told, why does a demon hunter hunt? Why do they have this drive to hunt? And going back through all the, you always hear these stories, demons and angels, the gates of heaven, the gates of hell. And one side wants to cross into the other all the time. So it's like, I took a spin on it and said, okay, but what if there was a pact to keep them both separate and protect both sides? And kind of dive into that more. So, that's where the thought came from, is like, how do I make a spin on what's currently going on? Because there's a lot of stories on demons and angels and demon hunters, but nobody's ever made a spin on it and took it to a different level.
Yeah, because it's interesting where you say the pact there's actually that agreement to more or less sort of protect both realms,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's always, well, how do they manage that? Because notoriously their agendas are very different, and they're always at odds with each other. So it's nice to see sort of where people do put a different spin on like typical sort of storylines. With the Son of Asmodeus, then, is there sort of plans to extend it? Is it going to be more of a series or a trilogy, or what sort of the plans for the characters do you have moving forward? Obviously, without giving too much away.
Well, Son of Asmodeus is book one. It is a series. It's going to be a trilogy. I like to leave my books on cliffhangers. So it's the first book, he discovers his birthright. He discovers his purpose. He has to find a key, and then book two, it's going to be more of my demons and my angels, but it's also going to have rogues on each side. So he is going to end up killing both demons and angels, just the rogues. So it's going to morph into a whole new world, and it's set in Los Angeles, but it does go to Scotland.
Oh, so it's coming
does.
over into the UK.
It does in book one, so it does.
Brilliant. I honestly, I find the whole concept like fascinating, and I think for me, I'm as a reader, I'm sort of attracted to the supernatural anyway. Will there be any other sort of supernatural characters being introduced as part of this, or is it kind of focusing just on the demons and the angels, sort of heaven and hell? You mentioned about the world building. I'm just wondering, like some of your other books as well, where you've really extended it out. Is that something that you will be looking at doing with this series, or have you got some other ideas in the background for some other supernatural stories to tempt us with?
This one will probably build out even more. Book two is actually titled Hellhounds. So right. I'm actually going to be bringing out the Hellhounds and other characters. So it is going to build into its own little world. Brilliant. Because everything exists.
Yeah, there is so much out there, but I know there's quite a lot of readers and customers who really enjoy books that have quite a breadth of supernatural characters. And it was one of the things that really sort of attracted me to the Blood Prophecy series as well. So it's great to find an author who's like really sort of experimenting and writing in these genres as well, because it is quite a favourite genre for most readers. So I was intrigued to see where you were going to kind of take Son of Asmodeus forward. Where are you in terms of the second book then? Is that still in progress, or are you
it's 3/4 done?
3/4 done. So is there any plans to release it this year? Or would that be too soon? Are you looking at next year?
Probably, I try to take 6 months to a release. So it's probably going to be the early part of next year if I can time everything right with my editor and all of those things. So because I do want to give it to my fans.
Yeah. And is there, just sort of last question for me really, is there anything you can tell us from book two, like a little sneaky peek or hint of what's coming up, what people can expect when they read it?
Some of the characters that have aligned with Sully the Demon Hunter in book one are going to surprise you. So young Edward is a child demon, and he disappeared by the end of the book, but he's going to come back with more potential and more strength and abilities.
Sounds intriguing.
Since you've read it, like Mick, some of my human-like characters or my angelic-like characters have actually visited hell.
Right.
So it's going to be some twist back and forth. They're knocking at each other's doors.
So that there'll be more interaction between the two realms as well as
yes.
the interaction between the main characters. Sounds brilliant. I'm really looking forward to reading book 2, and I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know that as writers we're always juggling so many responsibilities as well as like day jobs and writing as well. But thank you for spending some time with us, Barb, today, just to tell us a little bit more about your books and about the Son of Asmodeus as well. Um, for our listeners and readers, we have the tour running all week. Our 7 book reviewers have pulled out some fantastic quotes and extracts and characters that they've really enjoyed it. So that will be moving in the tour that's coming up this week. So we really hope that you guys have enjoyed talking to and listening to Barb as much as we have, and that you will look to buying a signed copy of Son of Asmodeus, which will be available. We'll keep the announcements coming up on the Book Dragon as well. And obviously we'll hopefully have more opportunities to chat to Barb in the future as well and find out a little bit more, and certainly about your second book. So thank you very much, Barb, for joining us. And we look forward to catching up with you again soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.